drummers, how's it going? It's Alex once again, bringing you some more fun-free drumming ideas. It's been a long time since I've had the chance to say that. Not because I didn't want to, but because sort of life things got in the way. Child, extra work. Well, mainly those two things really, but then getting the opportunity to come down here, because now it's the summer holidays for me, and so I've got a little bit more space in my life to come down here and start churning out a few lessons. So that's the plan. I'm going to start with this one. I quite like the idea behind this. It's one of the things I've been teaching some of my students recently before we broke up from school. And that is, it's got kind of a polyrhythm vibe to it. So we're going to be playing like eighth notes, like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and with the right hand, or left hand if you're left-handed. And underneath that we're going to be playing like little patterns of 3 between the kick drum and the snare drum. Always 2 kicks, 1 snare. You can start it up in different places and you'll get a different effect if you sort of use it as like a little 1-bar fill. So you could have like kick, kick, snare, 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 kick, psh. Or you could have snare, kick, kick, 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 snare, crash. So you could do some cool things like that. What we're going to do with it is we're going to sort of keep the hi-hat doing the same thing, keep the bass drum doing the same thing, but instead of having the snare drum filling all those gaps after the double kick, we're going to take that snare and we're going to put it back into like a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and so you get this nice little pattern that goes on where you've got the foot going bum 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 bum, or the snare in the right hand again tick tick cat tick 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 cat. So you get this really cool sort of like I said, polyrhythm effect. It's quite hard to explain, so hopefully you saw the intro, you liked it, and now you want to carry on watching this video and hope that I can do a good job of breaking it down. So let's see, here we go. Alright, so to kick things off, what we do is we'll just go over the 3 variations we've got. So we're going to start off with kick, kick, snare, 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 etc. Now, if you were to just sort of keep playing that pattern over again, you kind of cover every base of what we're going to go through. But we're just going to sort of like chop them up into these little 1-bar blocks. So you can just do a bar with like a regular groove and then pop this one out. Let's have a look at the first one, which I think would be the most relevant, because that's the one we're going to then, start off with when we go to the tricky bit where we get the hands doing something different. So first things first, we'll look at playing kick, kick, snare, kick, kick, snare, kick, kick, snare, and we're still just counting this as 1 E and 2 E and 3. Obviously, the snare drum is going to give that emphasis like every 3rd note, so you're going to get this cool little. Well, I'll just play it. We'll get the hi-hat in there, so we get this. So here's something you can do. If you're trying to get your head around where everything should land, just like get your hands, click them together, that will be your hi-hat, and just start singing to yourself, kick, kick, snare, kick, kick, snare, kick, kick, snare, kick, kick, snare, kick, snare, kick, crash. Obviously the crash is beat 1. Now what you'll find with the snare drum is it's going to land with the hi-hat, off the hi-hat, with the hi-hat, off the hi-hat, with the hi-hat, and then you're done. All right, so one more time. Let's speed this bad boy up a bit. Now what we can then do is we can just sort of like get a regular groove going, and then we can pop that in there and then come back out. So you get something like. Alright, and then we can speed up a little bit. Alright, so that's the first idea, and of course if you're just using them in these little 1-bar chunks, then it's worth exploring starting off with the double kick, then starting off with the snare, which would be as you go back round. Let's get that with the hi-hat nice and slowly. Alright, so it doesn't really matter where you start. If you were to just take this pattern and just keep playing it over and over and over again, you're going to cover all these bases anyway. But like I said, this just makes a difference if you're just going to do it in this little 1-bar chunk. So one more time. Again, with the start of this one, snare drum starts with the hi-hat, then offbeat, and starts and offbeat, and you end up getting 5. That's like it's 6. Yeah, you get 6 snare drums. All right, let's do the same thing with that. We'll get it over onto the nice thrashy crash ride jobby, and then we'll go a bit faster. So nice and slow first. That wasn't particularly slow, but we'll go a bit faster. Alright, once you get that speed up, it's over before you know it, but it's quite nice, it's quite fun to play. The next thing we could do is we could start with the single kick, stick the snare drum on the second note, and then after that you kick, snare, kick, snare. But again, this one's a little bit different because when you get to like the and the beat 4, they're both your kicks, and obviously you kind of want to do a kick on beat 1, like a lot of the time. So it might be worth to sort of working out like a little alternative ending to this one, just so you can get that nice boosh, so you end up playing sort of, you know, just doubles with your foot rather than like a cheeky triple. So especially when you get up to those high speeds, it's really hard. So here we go. So yeah, so on the E of beat 4, we'll stick a snare drum, that's where it'll be naturally, and then just pop another one on the and of beat 4, and then that gives you the up for a kick, and then beat 1 as a kick. And that works quite nicely. So that's sort of one lesson you can take from this video lesson. What you can do is just sort of to get a bit of a groove plan, play the first idea, go back to your groove, then shift that snare drum to the start of the bar, keep going, and then stick that snare drum on the E of beat 1, and then play around with those ideas. And then once you've got that, just start looping it over and over and over and over again. And then what you want to try and do is then just start whacking your lap instead of hitting the snare drum. All right. So instead of this. Let's take away the sound of the snare. And then if we do that, we start hearing this pattern, which is essentially 2 kicks off a hi-hat, tick on its own, and then a kick on its own followed by a kick and a hi-hat. If we loop it round, it's just that little sort of like 3/8 note phrase, so we get this, and it repeats. I should have mentioned this earlier. The faster we go, the more you're going to have to get that double bass drum, that double hit with your foot. I go for the slide technique. You could also do heel toe. You could just stomp it through as much as you can. If you did want to learn sort of like the technique I'm using, you can go back to one of my old lessons, like really long time ago, looking at the slide technique where you're sort of like popping down and then shimming your foot up, just sort of sliding your toes up to get that second one. So it's sort of like you go down with your heel up and then you sort of flatten your foot and you're going to get that second hit. It just takes like a lot of strain. You get a bit more pop on that second hit as opposed to that, I notice this a lot of beginners when they go for it, they'll put everything into that first bit, that first kick, and then the second one's like, boom, boom, boom. We want to boom, boom. Try and aim for that and then get that power on that second part. Back to what we're doing. If you're listening to that pattern, you get that boom, 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 and it resolves every 3 hi-hats, all right? Now, what's going to sound great is if we now start playing this with our hands. Which I think sounds pretty cool, which is why we're sitting here doing a video. Now, let's take away I'll just start by playing the snare drum on my lap and then I'll bring it in. So here we go. Let's crank it up. Now again, because we're dealing with like little patterns of 3, this resolves every 3 bars again. So before you'll get back to that point where you're sort of like on beat 1 with that kick, and then starting repeating again at the start of the 4th bar. So what you can do if you wanted to, obviously you can just sort of, if you've got like a particular riff going on with the guitars, it's just going to sound cool if you've got this little sort of like 3-bar phrase going on underneath, and you've just got to work a way to sort of round it off and get into like your next verse or chorus or anything like that. Or you can sort of like come up with a little ending for bar 4 where you can just sort of like tie up the end, and you have that sort of like more typical 4-bar sequence. But I think it just sounds great when you loop it around, because like it finds different positions in the riff. So if you've got like a particular riff going on, you can just sort of keep this going. The rest of the band can't complain because they still get they've got this bass drum pattern they've got to contend with, which might fool them a little bit, but we know it's just kick, snare, kick, kick, snare, kick, kick, snare, kick, kick, snare, the left hand taken out, and then put on beats 2 and 4 of the hi-hat. All right, so let's go over some of the places where the snare drum is, because I mean, by the time you've done a bar and a half, you basically repeat the same pattern. It starts midway through bar 2, which is a little bit odd, but in terms of the sticking, it resolves itself quite quickly, so you haven't got to learn too much. So we've got this good start. So the first snare drum is going to land on the back end of a double kick. Okay? I don't know how well I'm doing because I can't hear my drums particularly well right now, but you want to get that snare drum, bass drum landing as much at the same time as I can and avoid flamming. When you get to that second snare drum, okay, your mind's going to be like, eh, when you first start doing this, just go slow. What I would recommend is just go back to playing the boom, boom, tick, boom, 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 tick, boom, 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 tick, boom, boom. When you can do that, as that's going on, just think 1, 2, 3, 4, and you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 4, run out of breath. And then you start thinking about where you put the snare drum. And all you've got to do is just learn where the snare drum lands in relation to that foot. So we know it's going to land on the second of a double kick. The next snare drum is going to land on the first of a double kick, and then the third snare drum is going to land in between 2 kicks. Then once you've done that, you're repeating the same phrase over and over again. So all you've got to learn is this much. At that point there, nothing else changes. Of course, it does sort of change the feel of it when you're playing it against something else. That's the cool thing about this. So let me just we'll move that over to the right cymbal, get it a bit more thrashy. That's the sort of like way I hear it. Plus, this hi-hat pedal is crap, and so it never really like locks down unless I put so much weight on it. So we're going with right. Right, so that's pretty much it. Give that a go. What you can do as well is you can start just sort of like chucking some of the ideas. You can probably play like... Get a bit of that belting, or the other way. Just to confuse the listener and your other bandmates even more. Or what you can do is just sort of keep playing, and then every now and again, maybe do it on bar 4, slip into one of those little patterns that we looked at earlier for 1 bar. So Christ knows what I did there. But it felt good and it sounded fun. So that's a concept. Go and have a little play around with that. It's nothing like too snazzy, but it's a really good exercise, especially if you're getting double strokes on your foot, trying to be consistent, learning how to play a snare drum on the front end and the back end of a double kick, and then obviously sort of like sandwiching that snare between 2 kicks. I like a double stroke either side. And once you've got all that down, just have some fun with it and see what other things you can do with it. Tell me what you think in the comments section below. If you've got any questions or queries, just chuck them in down there. I'll be happy to answer them. Or if you've got any ideas that we can add on to this, share those with your fellow drummers as well. It'd be quite nice to get a little bit of a chat going down there. And it's been lovely to deliver you another lesson. I hope you like this one, and I'll look at doing some cool drum-free stuff. So I've been working on some new ideas. but I've got to practice them first before I can even think about putting them out there on the interwebs. So until next time, take care, keep drumming, and I'll see you very soon for some more fun, free drumming ideas. All right, see you later. Bye.